Hello, my name is Emma Fawcett and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in Newton Abbey, Belfast, Northern Ireland. Thank you so much for joining me today in Emma's Crafty Space. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these cute little 3D projects. They are very much in keeping with a fortune cookie kind of style of project, but they are heart-shaped, makes them ideal for Valentine's Day. The first time I seen this, it was done a good few years ago. There is a lot of tutorials out there for something similar to this, and it will be more in keeping with the fortune cookie where your corners are rounded down here. The first person I seen it doing it was Super Crafty Ashley and Chalk Academy. So there is other tutorials out there that you could maybe look at. Michaela Titheridge from the Crafty Unpin, she recently did these with the snails and they were absolutely adorable, and this is what has reminded me of them, so I just thought I would come on and do my take of them too, using this beautiful sweet which is always in my heart. So it's perfect for Valentine's Day. And then I have filled them with chocolate hearts from Marks and Spencer's, and they are gooey in the middle in that they're filled with salted caramel, so they're very tasty little treats. So it's a cute little token to give someone for Valentine's, whether it be your own children, grandchildren, or someone you love. It can be a friend or a partner. So I'll just set these to one side and we'll make a start on the project that I'm making today. So the DSP that I'm using is Love You Always. So you have like a Rocco Rose back, a Blushing Bride, and then there is also one with Sahara Sand. So you can see that is probably one of my favorite ones. I just love the leaf outline on that one. So this one here is Blushing Bride, and I'll just give you your measurements. So it is 6 inches wide by 4 inches deep, and then on the 4-inch side I have scored at 1 3/4 inch and 3 5/8. So this is going to be your closure here, and then I've turned it and scored on the 6-inch side at 3 inches, so it's your halfway mark. So I'm just going to get my bone folder and I'm going to burnish all my score lines. Okay, now whenever you are scoring this, just be careful that you don't break your paper. I can see where my paper is starting to break a little bit here, so I'm going to get a little bit of Scotch tape just to stop it from going any further, especially with the specialty paper, because it does have foil on it, so sometimes they can rip that wee bit easier. So if you're using your scoring board, you really want to be using your more bulbous end of your scoring tool rather than the thinner end, because that would really do a lot of damage to your DSP. So I'm just putting that down there just to give that a bit of support. And then we're going to put a little bit of glue down here. Okay. Now if this doesn't go all the way to the edge, it's fine, because these seams are going to be closed in and you're not going to see them. Gonna let that stick while that's adhering to itself there. Just want to give a wee press with my bone folder. So while that's sticking, I am going to bring in my flowers, and again this is from the same dies that is complimentary of this suite. So I'm just making sure all my little pieces are poked out. I've cut out some leaves as well. So this is the outline of the petals. This one here is Rocco Rose. And then the base is Blushing Bride, and my leaves are Pear Pizzaz. So just get those all out. Okay, and we're going to just stick these down to our flower bases. So as I say, the base is Blushing Bride. So this is an ideal project if you didn't want to be doing much stamping. Then you've got this as a go-to, you know, just for die cutting. You don't need a lot of glue in these, just enough just to get it to stick. And again, just let them sit over to one side. We'll come back to those once they're all dry. So now this, you're just going to give this a little push that way. And we're going to give it a crease as well. Okay, both ways. And then we are going to open it. And this is your seam. Okay, so once you just press that there, and you'll see then that that will just close over like that, and it'll push up. So now you obviously you're wanting your these ends to look like they're more circular to get that kind of heart shape. So I'm using one of my circle dies, and it measures 2 1/8. Okay, so I'm just going to lay this down, and I'm just making sure it's equal here. So even if you want to use your grid paper for this, okay, if you don't want it to be lower down on one side, get your pencil and draw that, and then do the same on the other end. Okay, so again, I'm using my grid paper to make sure I'm equal. Okay, and draw your circle, and then you're going to get your snips and snip those curves out. Now I would recommend that you use a pencil or a pen that you can rub out, just in case you don't get all those out. Just in case you don't get the lines out, then at least you can take the rubber to it and get it all off. So again, we are going to push down there where our seam is. Okay, you can see there, that is our shape now. Now we are going to make the little stand so the heart does stand up. So we're just going to squeeze in here like this. Okay, and you're going to crease a line from this center part up. So hold your finger here and pull this in. Okay, and you're just going to crease that up there like that, and then the same, do it the other way, just so that it's quite pliable and we can then fold it up inside itself. Okay, so now I can open this up and force that up in there like that. Now if you don't want to use your good DSP to begin with, try it on a piece of old DSP that you don't mind. If it doesn't work out, then you can play about with it. So if you just kind of set it down and see if it'll stand. So now obviously that's just going to keep on bouncing open. So we are going to need to get a bit of double-sided tape. Set that across there. Like that. And a little bit of tape to run up these sides, and it's just so that we can get the heart to stay closed over in that, you know, bring the two halves together. Okay, so just peel this off. Might need to use your cookie tool just to get in there with it. Okay, so just make sure that pushes up in there, because that is our stand. And you might need to put your fingers down into it as well, just to keep it pushed out. Okay, and that is your heart. Okay, so that is basically the basics part of it. So you can just see those lovely curved edges on it. And with that lovely foil detail on that DSP, it really is quite stunning. So I have done mine a banner. And again, it's still from this same suite, the All My Love one. Okay, so whenever you're cutting this banner out, you will notice that as well as cutting it out, it also gives you these embossed lines, and that is where you are going to be folding. So you're going to go to the one on the left hand side first, and you're going to push it away from you like that, and then the second one you're going to bring it back towards you. So it gives you that kind of scroll kind of effect. So it really is quite a genius die. So again, push with the first one away and bring the second one back. Okay, so that is your banner. So the Be My Valentine image from this is in a straight line, or well, it is kind of like scripted, but I have actually had to bend it and manipulate it into that kind of curve, and that is the ideal thing with photopolymer. You can manipulate it to a point. So I'm just going to stamp this in early espresso and then stamp it down. Okay, so if I actually lay it out the way it should be, you'll see that it isn't so scripted. So you can see there, it's more, I've had to like give this more of a curve. So it's quite easy. Lay it on the block and play about on the block and just keep on bringing it up and down to where you want it stamped to get it in that right position. Okay, so just going to bring these in. Okay, make sure you're happy with those. And then I am going to put a dimensional here, just so it's going across the heart. So just kind of eyeball it to see how high up the heart you want your banner to be. And then I'm going to put my dimensional straight onto there, because I know exactly where it needs to go in the heart. And then I'm tilting mine a little bit, just adhering it then to those. So you can see there how it just sits onto that nicely. Now the next step is a little bit fidgety. There's two ways you can do it. You can either just go straight in and stick your flowers in and kind of stuff all the foliage in behind, or you can punch out a small circle and stick it all to that and then stick the circle to it. It is entirely up to you what way you want to do it. Myself, but just for the purposes of the video, I'm just going to stick a dimensional on. I always start with the biggest flower. Okay, and then I can just go in then and start putting everything else in around it. Okay, so glue dots as well for this, because it will just make it a bit easier. I'm maybe going to take that leaf off. And don't worry if it hangs down below the point of the heart, because the heart's kind of tilted back on itself now. So it means then it doesn't really matter if something is hanging down below, because it's not sitting flat. It's not going to obstruct it from sitting the right way. So a couple of bits of foliage here. I can get this to stand. Always play about as well, because the dimensionals are sticking onto that kind of coated DSP. Sometimes you can pick them back off if you just need to reposition them, like I've just done there now. This decoration is really down to personal preference. You can't really go wrong with it, because it's really for your own taste. Only thing about using dimensionals are you're kind of limited to where you can poke things into behind. Oops. Last little leaf just over this side, to making it all even. Okay, so that is me. I'm pretty happy. Now I do have a spare flower. Depends how busy you want it to be. It's up to you. If you wanted to, you could put another one on the top with a bit more foliage. It is entirely up to you. And then the last thing you need to do is to fill it with its gorgeous chocolatey treats. So as I say, these are from Marks and Spencer's, and I think this one is particularly a really good colour match for that foil in there. But it is a mixture of red and that kind of lilac-y pinky colour. So you just need to stuff them down in the back of them, and that is it, all finished. So just make sure you've got your banner sitting the right way it needs to be. If you're finding that it's not sitting, like you can see it's kind of fighting back there, a couple of wee glue dots in behind that hole, that first crease, will hold it in place. So you can see them, they're all very cute. And I think if I receive one of those on Valentine's Day, I'd be very happy. I hope this tutorial's been okay and you've managed to follow along okay. If you've any questions, just let me know. In the description, I'll list everything that I've used to make these projects, and there's also a link to my online store if you need any supplies to make them. And remember, if you don't have a demonstrator of your own, just get in touch and I'll be more than happy to supply you with any things that you need. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care. Bye bye.